Right now, a new legal showdown underway after the nation's top law enforcement officer is held in contempt of Congress. Attorney General Eric Holder in an unprecedented position, becoming the first sitting member of a president's cabinet to be censured in this way. This after the Obama administration and House Republicans failed to compromise over documents that House members want to see relating to Operation Fast and Furious. Both criminal and civil resolutions passed in the Republican-led House, while more than 100 Democrats boycotted the move. And the Attorney General says it is all steeped in partisan politics.
Today's vote is the regrettable culmination of what became a misguided and politically motivated investigation during an election year. By advancing it over the past year and a half, Congressman Issa and others have focused on politics over public safety. Instead of trying to correct the problems that led to a series of flawed law enforcement operations, and instead of helping us find ways to better protect the brave law enforcement agents like Agent Brian Terry, who keep us safe, they have led us to this unnecessary and unwarranted outcome.
Fox News contributor Julie Roginsky is a former political advisor to Democratic Senator Frank Lautenberg of New Jersey. Amos Snead is former press secretary to House Republican Whip Roy Blunt of Missouri. Welcome to both of you. Julie, to you first. The Attorney General says this is all politically motivated. If so, why did the House get 17 Democrat votes in favor of this contempt citation?
Well, first and foremost, unlike the Republicans who in 2007, 2008 accused the Democrats of doing this exact same thing, staged a walkout, and essentially are using the same talking points the Democrats are using today. So there's vast hypocrisy on the Republican side on this issue. The Democrats don't walk in lockstep with their leader. These Democrats obviously felt, for political reasons, a lot of them have said themselves, they had no choice but to do this because they're in tough races and they thought this was going to be a political issue for them. That's fine and that's their decision. What I want to focus on is the complete hypocrisy by the House caucus, who, of course, when this was George Bush's administration, had no problem whatsoever saying that there was no executive privilege to be used against anybody in the president's administration. And all of a sudden now, when the shoe's on the other foot, they're staging a walkout and essentially playing politics 4 months before an election. It's all about politics. Sadly, we do have a dead agent. Sadly, we do have a policy that needs to be investigated. They're not interested in that. They're interested in essentially creating political problems for the president.
All right, but Amos, if the Attorney General had handed over the documents the House is looking for, we wouldn't be having this discussion, would we?
That's correct. You know, Attorney General Holder had every opportunity to comply with this subpoena. House Republicans, even a couple weeks ago, limited the amount of documents they were requesting, and he responded in a letter, and he said he would hand over those documents if they agreed not to move forward with a contempt vote. Now, what happens when it was time for those documents to come up again, he stonewalled and only handed over a few of them. So House Republicans really had no choice but to hold this contempt vote yesterday. But I do think what is important is that 17 House Democrats voted with them. That's a bipartisanship vote. If you look at this, that's more of a bipartisan vote than Obamacare was when it was rammed through the House.
Yeah, Julie, I mean, it seems like if the Attorney General really wanted to, get this thing out in the open, why not release the documents?
John,
the
same reason the Bush administration didn't do it, the same reason that the Reagan administration didn't do it, the same reason that the Clinton administration didn't do it. It's called executive privilege, and quite frankly, Holder released more documents and went over backwards for this committee and for Chairman Issa. The problem is, again, that there was nothing that Holder could have done to prevent Chairman Issa from going forward, because Holder realizes, as do most people, that the reason that Issa did this is not because he wanted to get to the bottom of anything. He wanted to make this a political issue in an election year, and he did, and congratulations to him.
All right.
But the bottom line is, there is something that needs to get to the people need to get to the bottom of this issue, not for political reasons, but because it's the right thing to do. Issa's not interested in that, unfortunately.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what Issa's interested in or not, Amos, but it just seems like releasing the documents would be the answer to the question.
Yeah, I think the underlying issue here is accountability. You know, an individual lost his life, and our government could have played a role in that. And to date, no one's been accountable. So to say this is a political issue, if you look at the House Democrats yesterday, when they walked off the House floor, they walked straight to the cameras. They are trying to make this a political issue. They do not want to turn the documents over. Someone's hiding something, and Congress has a role to hold someone accountable for this.
Amos, when you were working for Roy Blunt back, I don't know if it was during the Bush administration or when it was, but I mean, quite honestly, did you have the same feelings when the Bush administration used executive privilege when the U.S. attorney crisis was happening? Did you say the same thing when Reagan wouldn't release things under executive privilege? Look, when the shoe's on the other foot, it's very easy to all of a sudden have righteous indignation and to stand up and say the administration is doing the wrong thing. But the bottom line is these Republicans, Chairman Issa, as well as most of the House members that were there during the Bush administration, not one of them said anything to the contrary
Amos,
when this was going on under their administration.
Amos, I'll give you 10 seconds to respond.
Sure, absolutely. If you look at what Nancy Pelosi said when they were holding the Myers contempt vote, that this was an obligation of Congress, and then to see her lead everyone off the House floor yesterday, it just screams partisan campaign politics.
All right, we have to leave it there. Amos, Snead, Julie Roginsky.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, reaction continues to